Moving on, no negative marking. This is a very important point to note here. There is no negative mark for any wrong answer that you give for the question. So even if you leave the question, there is no negative mark. Even if you answer it wrong, there is no negative mark. So this, in my opinion, is very advantageous to the students, because when we are in a situation like we are unsure about an answer, we can take that risk and answer it anyways. If we are lucky enough, our gut feeling will become. So make sure you all answer all the 180 questions before you submit the test. Finally, the result. You will not be able to understand what is your score after you have finished the test. So the score will not be visible there. Out of 175, how many questions were right? But what we get is a simple pass or fail result right after the test. You don't have to wait for 1 hour. You don't have to wait for 1 day. Right after the last question is answered, you will get the result of pass or fail. And you are considered a PMP right after this result. So although this is just pass or fail, we will have an analysis of how well we did in each domain, though. So when I say analysis, it means that it shows us what our proficiency is in all three domains. The results screen will show something like this. It will have one of the three ratings. So we need to secure either target, above target, for all the three domains. Even if one misses, you're going to fail the exam. So people, target or above target; process, target or above target; business environment, target or above target. So hope this exam process is clear. Let's quickly jump in to the one of the major updates by PMI starting last year, the online proctored exam. This update is not just for PMP, but also for the other exams that are done by PMI, like CAPM, PVA, ACP, all these exams that are conducted by PMI. They are all having this option of online proctored testing. So let's try and understand about this in depth. So online proctored exam, this is a great change by PMI, as I told you already. This was introduced during COVID times. So due to COVID, many people going to the test centers has been drastically dropped. And to encourage people to take these exams even during the lockdowns, PMI has come up with this very advantageous online proctored exam, which can be taken from the comfort of our homes. So what are the advantages of choosing this online proctored exam? First things first, safe during COVID. So if you are taking the test at home, we don't have to come in physical contact with anybody. You'll have a familiar environment. We can take this exam at home. So the computer equipment, the internet connections, the comfort of your chair, the table, the list goes on and on. It's quite comfortable to take this test at home. No traffic. You don't have to worry about parking. So can you believe that? Going to an exam center, like let's say 30 kilometers away from your home, beating the heavy traffic, the sun, the taxi guys, it's very, very tiring, guys. So it will add up to the exam stress which you already have. So to me, this is a unique selling point for this method of exam. So what we need to do to choose this option, we can pre-book the slots which are available usually 24/7. They will assign the proctor based on the available time slots. You can just go to the PMI website, and while scheduling the examination, you'll have options almost 24/7. You could take this exam 12 o'clock in the midnight or 12 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever time is feasible to you. So it's a quite flexible choice here. You will be needing a webcam because we will be monitoring throughout the exam by a proctor. So we sadly cannot cheat at all. There is a proctor who is going to monitor us throughout the process, right? So jokes apart, please don't cheat. Cheatings are bad. If the proctor feels that there is something wrong, right? Even if you're looking away from the screen for so many times, they reserve the right to cancel our exam. So they don't even have to give justification to you. So they might even ban us from taking the exam ever. So be really careful here. So bottom line, a working webcam with a decent resolution is expected here. You'll need a strong network. This goes without saying, I know, but we must make sure that there are no interruptions of any sort. So a backup UPS is quite safe to have. Imagine we are taking the test very seriously, and making a lot of strategies in the back of our minds. And finally, we arrive at a nice solution to the problem, and the option on the screen is not even being selected because of the interruption in the internet. right? So it hurts really bad. So if you are living in a city or a locality where you expect frequent power cuts, frequent interruptions in the internet, I recommend you not to choose this option. So, and because you may have to reschedule the test again, you are writing the exam, and in the middle of the exam, if internet goes, the exam stops suddenly. And it's quite difficult for you to reschedule the test. It's like you lost all the money. It's like totally, you did not lose all the money, of course. There is one option that you can reschedule this without paying extra if PMI accepts your justification. So you again have to take trouble of writing to PMI that your internet connection is interrupted, and you have to give proper reasoning about why it was interrupted. And then if PMI is convinced, they will allow you to rebook the slot without any additional charges. So if you are unsure about the internet, just don't choose this option. You'll need a quiet place because the proctor also monitors the noise. If he hears something is being played on a mobile phone or a TV in the background, they may think that somebody is prompting you for the answers. So it's important that the place around you is quiet. So make people around you aware that you need uninterrupted 4 hours for the exam. If you have pets, make sure that you don't enter this room where you're going to take this test. Lock them off for 4 hours if you have to. Okay, breaks. This test, 4 hour long test, it's quite long, guys. Things start to hurt after an hour, like at very difficult places. So although these breaks are optional, I encourage everybody to just go for the breaks. Stretch yourself, have some water, have a coffee, take a bio break, start fresh after the break. So what happens during the test? Make sure you do system check, right? So you need to check your mic with the internet, the camera, just before the exam process starts. You can also do this check while you are scheduling the test. If you are selecting an online proctored testing, it will prompt you to test all these system checks. And during the test scheduling, if you feel something is not right, better try to fix it immediately, or I strongly recommend please rethink your choice about not taking this exam center option. Check-in. So what happens in check-in? Typically, this check-in is done 30 minutes before the exam schedule. So you won't need all the 30 minutes, but maybe about 15 to 20 minutes, it will be done. So you'll be checked in. The proctor will introduce herself in English or the other language that is available. I think there are only two options right now, English or Japanese. So we'll need to show our photo ID to proctor to verify if it's actually you. You can show either a driving license or a passport. Just make sure that your name and age matches with the details that are given by you earlier in the application. And also make sure that the document is valid at the time of exam, right? So at the time of application, the document like driving license or passport may be valid, but during the exam, if it is expired, the proctor might not consider that as a valid ID proof. And also, the proctor will ask you to show the surroundings. So make sure it's quite decent enough. So this is to ensure that you are not going to cheat in any way. So you'll typically have to take a few snaps in front of the proctor while the proctor is watching you in webcam, and you have to upload these photos in the system. You have to scan these things and send it to the system, and then this scanner will give you again a pass or fail for the surroundings, and it's important for you to pass the scan. So you have to be really careful here. Make sure your table is clean. By clean, I mean it should not have any items which could be cheat worthy. There should be no books, no calculators, no writing pads, no iPads, iPods, notebooks, sticky notes. Absolutely nothing is allowed. It has to be a clean desk. If you have something written on the walls, like quotations or something, it will be inspected. You don't have to remove them, but the proctor will ask you to show a detailed picture of those quotes. So be careful there as well. If you have, an additional monitor, like per se, then you have to make sure that it is turned off, and the proctor might ask you to show if it is actually unplugged or not. Very strict, right? I know. So they'll take like 5 to 7 minutes to review all the snaps and documents sent by you. You're all good to go after this. The exam itself. So during the exam, of course, this goes without saying, please don't check your phones. Make sure you leave them in another room. Smartwatch is not allowed to. And hear me say this: coffee and chewing gum, smoking is also strictly prohibited during the test. What is allowed is a water bottle, but it has to be clear and a transparent one. Okay, so people, that's all about online proctor testing. The traditional exam center style method is, I think, I consider that we all know about this, except the pain of going to the test center. The rest of the process is going to be taken care by the staff there. So the staff would be very professional. You don't have to worry about internet. You don't have to worry about technical difficulties. So if that is the right option for you, just go to the exam center and give the exam. All right. So I believe we have better clarity on the online proctored exam process.